I never thought I'd find myself staring at my phone in the dead of night, heart pounding as I read messages that shattered the foundation of my closest friendships. It started as a vague feeling, an uneasy knot in my stomach that I couldn't shake no matter how much I told myself it was nothing. But then came the texts, flirtatious, secretive, impossible to ignore. They weren't meant for me, but somehow I had stumbled upon a secret they desperately tried to hide. I remember the moment I realized something was wrong. We had been inseparable for years, the trio everyone envied. We shared everything, or so I thought. But when I saw those messages between my two best friends, the ones that talked about stolen moments and whispered promises, I felt like the ground cracked beneath me. How long had this been going on? And more terrifyingly, how blind had I been? The betrayal wasn't just in the messages. It was in the way they laughed too loudly when I looked away, the way their eyes darted whenever I brought up certain topics. I started noticing their quick exchanges when they thought I wasn't watching, the subtle shifts in their tone that carried hidden meanings. It was like watching a play unfold, but I was the only one who didn't have a script. One evening I confronted them, half hoping they'd deny it, half needing the truth. The room was thick with tension, silence hanging heavier than any accusation. They looked at each other, then at me, their faces a mixture of guilt and fear. The confession came slowly, words tumbling out in a rush that felt both like relief and a fresh wound. They had been caught in a love triangle, a secret affair that spun out of control while I remained the last to know. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and utterly alone. How do you process the fact that the people you trusted the most were hiding a love story right under your nose? Every memory we shared suddenly felt like a lie, every smile a mask. The nights we spent laughing turned into a haunting echo, reminding me of what I had lost without even realizing it. But what shocked me most wasn't just the betrayal, it was the tangled emotions that followed. I was angry, yes, but also confused. Part of me still cared deeply for both of them, even after the hurt. It was a roller coaster of emotions, a storm I couldn't escape despite my best efforts. I wanted to scream, to run away, to forgive, and to forget all at once. As days passed, the silence between us grew louder. We stopped sharing our lives, our dreams, the little things that once bonded us. It felt like a slow unraveling, the threads of friendship pulling apart with every awkward glance and half-hearted apology. I found myself reminiscing about the past, trying to understand where it all went wrong, but answers were elusive. I started questioning everything, my judgment, my worth, even the authenticity of my feelings. Was I just a placeholder, a convenient secret keeper? The doubt gnawed at me, making me restless and wary. Trust, once so easy to give, became a fortress I struggled to rebuild. Every interaction was tinted with suspicion, a guarded dance to protect my heart. One night alone in my apartment, I replayed the moments we shared, looking for signs I missed. The way they exchanged knowing smiles, the late-night texts they hid from me, the excuses for canceled plans. I felt like a detective piecing together a puzzle, but the picture that emerged was far uglier than I imagined. It wasn't just a love triangle, it was a betrayal layered with deceit and broken promises. Yet amidst the heartbreak, there was a strange clarity. I realized that relationships, no matter how close, can have cracks beneath the surface. People are complicated, and sometimes they make choices that hurt the ones they love most. It didn't make it easier to accept, but it forced me to face the messy reality instead of hiding behind denial. I decided to take a step back, to give myself space to heal and think. It wasn't about cutting ties immediately, but about protecting my emotional well-being. I needed to understand what I wanted moving forward. Could forgiveness be possible? Could we rebuild what was broken, or was this the end of an era? In the quiet moments, I found strength I didn't know I had. The pain was raw, but it also sparked a determination to reclaim my sense of self. I started journaling, pouring out every thought and feeling, trying to make sense of the chaos inside me. It was messy, painful, and sometimes overwhelming, but it was mine to own. Surprisingly, I reached out to one of them first, not for answers or apologies, but to express how deeply the betrayal cut. The conversation was awkward, filled with pauses and unspoken words. But it was real, and that honesty felt like the first step towards something new, whether it was closure or a fragile reconciliation. The other friend remained distant, and that silence spoke volumes. It was a reminder that not everyone is ready or willing to face the consequences of their actions. That distance stung, but it also underscored the complexity of human relationships and the different ways people cope with guilt and regret. As weeks turned into months, the dynamics between us shifted. The love triangle had left scars, but it also opened doors to conversations we never dared to have before. We began to navigate this new terrain cautiously, trying to find a balance between honesty and vulnerability. It was uncomfortable, but necessary. Every reunion was a test of endurance, a mixture of awkward silences, tentative smiles, and the occasional flash of old warmth. I learned to guard my heart while still allowing glimpses of trust to creep back in. It wasn't easy, and some days felt like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. There were moments when I caught myself reminiscing about the good times, wondering if any of it was real or if it had all been a facade. Those thoughts were dangerous, threatening to pull me back into the whirlwind of confusion and hurt. But I reminded myself that healing meant accepting the past without letting it define my future. One thing became clear: love triangles don't just involve romantic feelings. They entangle loyalty, friendship, and identity in ways that are hard to unravel. The lines between love and betrayal blur, leaving everyone involved to navigate a maze of emotions that don't come with a map. I started leaning on other friends, those outside the triangle, to find perspective and support. Their listening ears and steady presence were anchors in a sea of uncertainty. Sharing pieces of my story helped lighten the burden, reminding me that I wasn't alone in facing heartbreak and betrayal. Slowly, I began to rebuild myself, not as the person defined by betrayal, but as someone stronger and more self-aware. I pursued new interests, reconnected with old passions, and rediscovered parts of me that had been overshadowed by pain. It was a journey of rediscovery as much as recovery. But the story isn't over. The love triangle, with all its tangled emotions and secrets, still lingers in the background, a reminder that relationships are fragile and complex. I don't know what the future holds for us, whether forgiveness will fully come or if scars will remain. All I know is that I am still here, still fighting to find peace amid the chaos. Every day brings new challenges, unexpected encounters, memories that catch me off guard, moments where the past and present collide. Sometimes I wonder if I should have walked away sooner, or if staying meant facing the truth head-on. The uncertainty is exhausting, but also strangely empowering. Looking back, I realize that love triangles are never just about the romantic entanglement. They reveal the vulnerabilities we hide, the secrets we keep, and the ways we hurt those closest to us. It's messy, painful, and deeply human. And somehow, despite everything, it's also a story about resilience. I still catch myself thinking about what could have been, what if they had told me earlier, what if I had seen the signs, but those questions only lead to more questions, and I'm learning to live with the unknown rather than letting it consume me. Life doesn't always give us neat answers, and sometimes we have to create our own. In the end, this experience has changed me in ways I can't fully explain. It's forced me to confront my own limits, my capacity for forgiveness, and my desire for genuine connection. I'm wary now, yes, but also hopeful that with time, wounds can heal and new bonds can form, ones built on honesty and respect. So here I am, sharing my story not to cast blame or stir drama, but to remind anyone out there who's ever felt betrayed that you're not alone. Sometimes the people we love make mistakes, sometimes they hurt us deeply, and sometimes we have to choose how to move forward, whether that's rebuilding or letting go. I still don't have all the answers. I'm still navigating this complicated web of emotions, trying to find my footing in a world that suddenly feels less certain. But I'm learning that healing isn't a straight path, and sometimes the hardest battles lead to the most meaningful growth. Every day is a new chapter, and while the pain hasn't disappeared, I'm beginning to see glimpses of light through the cracks. It's not easy, and some nights are still dark, but I'm holding on to the hope that someday this tangled story will make sense in a way that brings peace rather than pain. I don't know if my friendships will ever be the same, or if the love triangle will become just a painful memory. But I do know that I'm stronger than I thought, and that sometimes the most unexpected betrayals teach us the most important lessons about love, trust, and ourselves. The journey continues, and I'm still here, watching, learning, healing, and trying to make sense of the shadows that linger behind the smiles. This is my story, raw and unfinished, a testament to the messy, beautiful chaos that is human connection. And so I wait, uncertain but hopeful, ready for whatever comes next in this tangled web of love and friendship.